Hi there. Today we are going to learn about thematic analysis as a qualitative analysis or as a tool in analyzing, in making generalizations, in interpreting raw qualitative data. And I know you're ready, so let's begin. At the end of this lesson, you shall be able to learn its definition and learn how to do through its step-by-step process or ways, as well as learn practical examples for you to better understand the analysis. Okay, so first thing first, thematic analysis is being used for qualitative data because it is where we make codes, we try to see the patterns of responses coming from our participants. Now, when we speak about thematic analysis, it is defined as a method of analyzing qualitative data that involves reading the responses of research participants and to look for patterns to formulate themes. So in particular, thematic analysis is used to interpret qualitative data. Now, when we speak about qualitative data, we are talking about the responses, the answers of your participants in your interviews. Okay, so thematic analysis is widely used for interpreting qualitative data. Okay, so in short, we use thematic analysis to really understand, to see the connection, to see the common answers, common responses from our participants. Now, in thematic analysis, there are two approaches. The first one is inductive analysis, and the second one is deductive analysis. Now, when we say inductive analysis, we are going to create our themes through the codes that we gather based from our interpretation of the responses or answers of our interviews. While for deductive analysis, there are preconceived ideas or findings which we try to match the responses of our participants to these expected outcome, okay, or output. Don't you worry, because in this video I'll be teaching you how to do inductive analysis. Okay, according to Braun and Clark, thematic analysis has six steps. The first one is familiarization of dataset. When we say familiarization, from the term itself, familiarize, meaning you have to familiarize, you have to understand, you have to see, you have to reread, go over the findings, the answers of your research participants, or yes, your respondents. Okay, so meaning you try to understand their responses. Were they able to answer all your questions and queries? So that's how you familiarize yourself with your questions as well as with their answers. And through familiarization, you are able to see if all the responses were able to answer your SOPs or statement of the problem. Now, after doing so, after reviewing the responses, the answers, you now move on to coding. When I say coding, here you are going to see the common patterns or answers from your participants. As you can see in the slide, we have here an example. For SOP1, we have the perception of working students in balancing part-time job and studies. So the specific problem here that this example research wants to find out is to know the perception of students, working students in particular. We want to understand how they perceive balancing their work and their studies. Okay, so as you can see in my table, there are three responses coming from my three key informants or three participants. So the first one says, mahirap maging working students kasi kailangan makauwi ng maaga para makapag-prepare ako sa work ko by 7 p.m. So meaning, participant 1 has a work at 7 p.m. So sabi niya, kailangan niyang maagang makauwi, and so mahirap daw pagsabayin. So ibig sabihin, wala siyang time to do other stuff than to go home early. Okay? The second participant mentioned that minsan kulang daw siya sa tulog because she has to wake up early. Okay? And then, mahirap pagsabayin ang pag-aaral kaya kailangan ng time management. So according to this participant, kailangan niyang i-balance yung time niya since kailangan niyang gumising ng maaga and also because of her job. Okay? Kasi by waking up early, dun niya gagawin yung mga activities niya. Kasi by night time, hindi niya pwedeng gawin kasi nga meron siyang ibang trabaho. Last but not least, sabi ng pangatlong participant is, di ako makakonsentrate sa klase dahil sa antok ko, lalo na hanggang 3 a.m. ang work. Kaya mahirap pagsabayin. So, based from the response of respondent or participant number 3, he has a work at until 3 a.m. So, let's imagine. Let's say, ang job niya is from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. So in short, she has or he has no time to do all his academic stuff or the needed things, his requirements in his class. So sabi niya, mahirap. Now, you see the pattern. You see the common responses coming from these participants. Ano yung common term na naulit? With the highlight of blue. Mahirap, sabi niya. So meaning, yun yung code na sinasabi natin. Dahil dyan sa code na yan, nalalaman mo na base sa interview mo sa tatlong participants na yun yung common response nila. Kaya yung term na mahirap, yun na yung code mo. Okay? Besides sa mahirap, similar din na lumalabas yung terminology or yung sagot na maaga. You see, from the first interview, sabi niya, kailangan niya makauwi ng maaga, and the other one is, kailangan niyang gumising ng maaga. This incorporates that maaga indicates na kailangan maging early, kailangan gawin ito ng maaga para magawa siya perfectly or para ma-accomplish siya in the given time. And so, yung code natin sa mga responses na to for SOP number 1 ay mahirap and also maaga. So basically, that's how you do coding in thematic analysis. The third step, according to Braun and Clark, is generating themes. When you say themes, okay, let us define first. Themes, these are important, something that is important about the data in relation to research question, and that they represent some level of pattern response or meaning within the data set. So balikan natin yung definition. We're saying themes, okay? So these words, these terminologies na lumalabas, ito yung particularly they represent the whole answers from each questions. Kaya nga gagawa tayo ng theme to represent these answers or that data set. Okay, so tignan natin, let's look at the example earlier. So we have here, remember, mahirap, and then yung maaga. These are our codes, remember? So because through these codes, gagawa tayo ngayon ng themes. Ano yung pagdudugtungin natin itong mga codes na to come up with a theme? To represent the answer or to represent the response of our participants sa SOP number 1 or sa questions na meron tayo. So based from the answers of the 3 participants, ang lumalabas na theme natin na pwede natin i-consider as a theme or subtitle, subheading ng ating response for SOP 1 is mahirap pagsabayin. And so, for SOP number 1, perception of working students is mahirap pagsabayin ang pag-aaral at academics kasi yan, pwede mo nang ilagay doon sa interpretation mo yon. So again, dapat meron tayong codes, and through these codes bubuo naman tayo ng themes. Paano bumuo ng themes? Pagsasamahin natin yung mga codes. Dahil itong mga codes na to, they now represent the totality of the responses of our participants for specific SOP. Alright, now let's proceed to number 4, which is reviewing themes. Pag sinabi natin reviewing themes naman, we are trying to look at how these themes really matter or do really these themes serve their purpose. Remember, ang themes ay nire-represent niya yung totality, yung sagot sa isang question through the codes na ginawa natin. And so, let's move on. Let's jump to number 5. Since nakabuo na tayo ng themes, mag-ida-define naman natin siya. And bibigyan natin siya i-complete natin yung thought ng theme natin. After that, we are now going to write. Okay? Which is the 6th part, which is writing up. Meaning, you are now trying to explain the theme, okay, through the responses of your participants. Now, let's proceed to the last slide. Ito yung example natin as to how we come up with codes hanggang sa nakabuo tayo ng themes, hanggang sa nakabuo tayo ng paragraph. Okay, I would like you to look at the screen. Okay, mahirap pagsabay ng pag-aaral at pagtatrabaho. Yan yung theme na na-derive natin, nakuha natin sa interviews natin. Bakit? Remember, sa mga participants natin, nabanggit yung mahirap, tapos yung maaga, and so, in short, yung perception nila, nahihirapan silang pagsabay ng pag-aaral at pagtatrabaho. So dito, nakita nyo sa slide natin, sa first part ng paragraph natin, dinedescribe mo, okay, kung ano yung main idea o kung ano yung interpretation mo doon sa theme. Okay? I-explain mo muna siya. Introduce mo yung theme mo. Okay? As you can see in the slide, being less fortunate means achieving academic success is very difficult. So you have to consider financial expenditures, sabi niya. And based on the gathered responses of the research participants, many perceive working while studying as a struggle, meaning nahihirapan sila. As pointed out by P1, meaning dyan, maglalagay ka ngayon ng evidence to support your claim na may nagsabi based from your participants na nahihirapan sila sa kanilang pag-aaral. Ilalagay mo dyan ngayon yung isang evidence or 2 to 3 evidences from the responses of your participants. Okay? So mahirap mag-working students kasi kailangan makauwi ng maaga para makapag-prepare ako sa work ng 7 p.m. So yun yung, if you remember, that is the initial or that's the first answer of our participant 1. And since Filipino yung response niya sa question natin, itra-translate natin siya. Ilalagay din natin siya. And if you notice, dito sa ating paragraph, naka-indent. Naka-indent yung ating, yung words, yung response ng ating participants kasi dito natin pinapakita na sinasite natin yung mismong verbatim or yung mismong salita na nanggaling sa response ng ating participants. And by putting that, nilalagay natin na evidence, may nagsabi. At tinutukoy natin kung sinong nagsabi. Because below that sentence or below that phrase, ilalagay din natin kung sino explain natin, i-elaborate natin yung sinabi niya. Halimbawa, the response of P1 or participant 1 shows students like her are struggling to balance their work and study. So, meaning in-explain mo yung sinasabi niya. Alright? It shows that, okay, that one contributor to the struggle is attributed to being less fortunate, and that supported by the findings of Balukit and Lopio 2022 that one of the academic challenges of working students is their daily expenses. So, meaning, hindi mo lang basta ilagay yung responses ng participants. Kailangan i-elaborate mo din, i-explain mo din. And through your related literatures, since nagbasa naman kayo ng mga related literatures, you should be able to relate these responses to come up with a clearer, elaborate, well-explained paragraph or discussion. Remember, ang results and discussion is you are trying to explain the results. You're going to discuss the results. Okay? In a qualitative manner, meaning magkukwento ka. So, in short, not necessarily na maglalagay ka ng maraming numbers dyan since our research is all about qualitative, kaya nga thematic analysis. So basically, that's how you do thematic analysis. And if you have questions, just comment down below. I hope you learned something. Bye-bye.